Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John's reports for the 19th of December. My youngest daughter, Grace, 19 today. Mama Mia, where did the time go? But all good in the market, responding off of the very weak NBI white rise. You had short-term buyers here from DOC pulling it through. And we got our first decline really from the DOC orange, which was enough to stave things off for now. But really, it was when we look down here at the shakeout, the rising azure finally popping in there just to the right time because without that, it was looking pretty treacherous. Of course, it didn't hurt that Abu Dhabi jumped in there to save OpenAI and $100 billion of investment for equity, and that gave a boost of confidence back into the market and turned things around significantly. And decent earnings coming out from others as well, hitting right up against that 50% here in the pre-market. When you look at that difference, though, from the MBI reading, if I go back to the S&P, you don't have the crossover of Magenta yet from an S&P, so a slight lag compared to what you see from the turnaround here of Magenta crossing over yellow on the NASDAQ and approaching very quickly to the MBI white. Still caught, though, between this cyan to red on the DOC, and as long until that orange is able to dip around, I usually look for that 7.5 range as a clear indication that you've got a turnaround potential within that. It's definitely your short cover point. So still the headwinds, but there was some relief in that, and that caused a nice little pop. Especially also you have the big option expiration. Of course, it gets ridiculous when they talk about the record-setting option. It's always going to keep growing. There's always going to be some form of a record as time goes on, just through volume and inflation. Treasury, still nothing happening there. The Fed is just it's not even really a factor so much as more. The real key to be watching here again will still be oil, will still be the bifurcation of electricity costs relative to where oil trades, and that's going to continue to be something we watch. Eurozone still flirting with this idea of their extra, quarter to $500 billion they want to take from the Russian assets they've seized to build their war machine. Even if they're not, they're still going to borrow the money and use that as collateral for it. So either way, they're going to be spending heavy, and that's exciting for them in that stance. From a gold standpoint, it's still going to continue to rise because there isn't any change in deficits in any of that. You would think that would be a stronger boon for cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin lagging here. ETH, though, getting a little bonus relative to the dip that Bitcoin has had, but still also under the same pressures and still the same ratings. No real change yet. And again, it almost looks identical to what we see from the S&P and the NASDAQ with the DOC orange caught between the cyan red, which is continuation mode, and then you have the MBI white spike. So the upside potential is definitely under strain. Now, can they convert that into a short cover rally is really the question. And that's the optimism where everyone's at. We had started off the pre-market with a nice turnaround off the short cover rally here with the rising MBI white to the magenta. Didn't quite reach the 100% of dropping 100% even, but it got back just below the previous peak high right there, and then faded off. Another MBI white took it back to the 50%, though it wasn't enough to continue to break it down because magenta had crossed over. So we're still in that small zone right there of positive. But when you look at that shakeout, that this is radically ugly. It's not really something that's caught anyone's attention as far as consistency. And then we're going to start moving into the holiday trade. That's just going to make things a little bit more dramatic, simply because all your A players are going to be gone. And the B team comes in, and they like to make bigger waves to prove themselves. So we'll see how that one goes as far as are they able to create a bias from it one way or another? And with the headwinds they've got, it's not going to be so simple. From the 5 minute, you can see what happened was your big caves, big push, and then back and forth, ending a little bit better than where it was, but still below what the open value was. So that just shows how that weakness exacerbates itself. From the Asian session, not a whole lot, but then everything's been roses from the European view. Still nowhere with the peace or any of those other things, but it seems like things are happening. Just nothing has been resolved at this particular stage. So more of the same. Uh, Readings are still fine within that. Everything has now moved more to your intraday over the daily, which is just uh, not really going to give you much of a huge boost. So we'll see. Things will still be moderate. We're still just going to continue to watch and see whether there's any resolution or dampening in the conflict, and whether that potential for spread. We had that brief time where they were, bombing the commercial craft, and that seems to have just died down very quietly, which is a good thing, because if that had escalated, it could have gotten ugly very fast. So, um, all in all, that's the current state of things. Anything relevant, I'll put it on our team chat. Have a good one. Trade well.